Hey there, welcome to the Graced Health Podcast, your source for aging strong and your physical, mental, and spiritual health. My name is Amy Connell. I'm a weight-neutral certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who loves walks with friends, chocolate, and Jesus. Whether you're looking to grow stronger as you age, nourish your body, mind, and spirit, or fit all the pieces of your health together to holistically thrive, this is the place for women over 40. I'm here to guide you in the areas I can and bring on experts in the areas I'm still learning. And of course, we cover it all in a whole lot of grace. I'm glad you're here. By the way, if you're new here, I invite you to go back and check out season 19, starting January 9th, 2024, to fully understand this show. In short, this is an intuitive eating focused, grace-filled, Christ-centered show focusing on women over 40 who want to age resiliently. And then be sure to check out the episode 30 plus non-gym ways to improve your health and grab the free download that goes with that. All of those links are in the show notes. We are in an episode or a season on intuitive eating. And this week we are focusing on principle 9, sometimes called joyful movement, sometimes called exercise and feel the difference. Personally, I like the phrase joyful movement, so we'll use that a little bit better. And I am thrilled that Kasey Shuler is here with me. So let me tell you a little bit about Kasey and then we'll jump in. Kasey is an author, a non-diet personal trainer, co-founder of the Joyful Health Collective, and host of the Joyful Health Show podcast. Her mission is to help others find lasting health by starting with grace and finding their strength in the joy of the Lord. She lives with her husband and 2 daughters in Athens, Georgia, and would love to connect with you at joyfulhealth.co or on Instagram at joyfulhealthco. Kasey, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm thrilled you're here. It's always fun to talk shop with a fellow personal trainer. But this one is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be talking more about the mindset rather than the actual movement. So before we get in too deep, I would love for you to just explain what joyful movement is. And clearly you are the perfect person to do this since your business name is Joyful Health.
Yes, thank you. I haven't heard that phrase before, so I embrace that. So I want to start off with what Principle 9 actually says about joyful movement as far as the intuitive eating principles go, and then I will explain a little bit more from the biblical side of it. So exercise, feel the difference is Principle 9. And so Evelyn Tribbley says, forget militant exercise, just get active and feel the difference. Shift your focus to how it feels to move your body rather than the calorie burning effect of exercise. If you focus on how you feel from working out, such as energized, it can make the difference between rolling out of bed for a brisk morning walk or hitting the snooze alarm. So essentially, being able to focus less on how you look and more on how you feel is the essence of that principle. And if we connect it to the spiritual roots, is connected to the joy of the Lord as our strength. And that comes from Nehemiah 8:10. And the context around Nehemiah is that the people were reading the law, they were reading the words of God, and instead of celebrating like we would in church, people were mourning. They were crying. And I thought, what is this? Because then Nehemiah 8:10, he says, do not mourn. This day is holy to the Lord your God, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And so it's like, whoa, how does this relate to us and movement? It's that I think that we know that we all fall short, and especially of the expectations that are set for us when it comes to movement and how it should shape our bodies with being wrapped up in diet culture and the thin ideal. And so that high expectation a lot of times keeps us from exercise, but we are free in the Lord. We are free in our faith to be able to say, I know I'm not good enough. I know I cannot live up to this holy expectation, but the Lord is. He has made us good through himself alone so that we don't have to live up to this expectation anymore. Now we can be free to participate in it and to enjoy the space of being in our bodies because it's really stemming from grace. And joy is essentially the expression of grace. So knowing that we can't earn our bodies, we I didn't do anything to earn my body to come into this world. I just came in this world as a baby. And so probably the same goes for you. So I think we get in our heads, especially as adults, that we have to earn our way and we have to earn our food with exercise. And, to be able to strip all of that away and keep it simple of exercise as a way to express the gratitude of being in our bodies. So let's follow that joy and be able to discover what we don't like and to have the freedom to not do that anymore and to discover what we do like and to follow that curiosity and see how it feels. And because it's really that joy that pulls us forward. That's that motivation that will keep us going and keep us moving for life.
I really like how you say joy is the expression of grace. I've never heard that before. And it kind of, how we will hear something and then we kind of think about how that applies to us. As you know, the name of this podcast is Graced Health. The name of my little business tree is Graced Health. Mm-hmm. And that's because I realized so long ago that that's the missing element for a lot of us is just giving ourselves grace in taking care of ourselves. Or I think it was Kirsten Schmidt said earlier, in stewarding our bodies. And that when that happens, we do get the joy that goes along with it. Mm-hmm. So I really like how you said that. You were talking about using exercise as a way of managing our bodies, and because of this thin ideal and all of that, I'm wondering if you can talk more about shifting from this diet culture sense of I have to work off dessert. I have to, oh gosh, I ate too much. I need to do that. And just managing the body size to finding joy and giving ourselves grace, because I think we all want that. I don't think anyone is like, oh, I definitely need to make sure that I'm getting calorie neutral or, whatever you want to call it. Right. But it's a lot harder sometimes to take that leap and that step into enjoying it.
Right. Yeah. And I can speak from personal experience is that when I separated my food from my exercise, then that really freed up my exercise routines to be what I wanted to be. It wasn't just about calorie burn anymore. And I'm all about efficiency. And so it's like, if I have 20 minutes to exercise, if the point of exercise is to burn calories, then you're most likely going to choose the most high intensity thing, which will be pretty hard on your body and might not be the best thing for you that day. But you can't lean into that because you are attaching yourself to an external rule when it comes to exercise, that exercise must equal calorie burn. So simply put, if we can just separate our food from what we eat, what we eat from how we move, then that will give us some freedom to be able to choose movement and be able to listen and trust our bodies instead of trusting some other ideal of how we should be working out. So, if you are wanting to take that first step, I would say if you're used to tracking calories on your Apple Watch or whatever it might be, to just take a break from that, to just let it rest. And that can allow you to start tuning into your body instead of tuning into your watch. Just, maybe don't turn on that little Apple ring and see how you feel. It might feel a little bit anxiety inducing to think, oh no, that workout didn't count. But we know that we can learn that our body actually does keep the score way better than any other health tracking device. And there's so many studies out there that show that really there's no tracking device that can accurately track our metabolic activity in a way that is useful for us. So our bodies are so complex, and the way that we take in calories and nutrients and burn it differs day to day, moment to moment. And so really the best tracking device that you have is your body. So we get to let exercise be a way to tune in and listen and participate with the wisdom of our body that God has already built in.
Yeah. That idea of separating food from exercise makes a lot of sense. It's also really hard. It also is a great explanation of why joyful movement is part of intuitive eating, because the intuitive part of it is like, let's just tune into our body. Because, you have a really hard workout. Maybe you're hungry, extra hungry later, and we need to fuel ourselves or refuel. So yeah, I think that is great. And turning off all of those notifications and prompts and all of that kind of stuff. It's so funny because most of the women in my community are over 40. I have a lot in, 50s and 60s. And so we did not grow up with Apple Watches. We did not grow up. I mean, in our early 20s, when for many of us, diet culture was at our height, we didn't have that. And so it's crazy how easily we get dependent on that and how it can drive what we do when we didn't have that. It's just one more piece of the madness that is out there that, we should be able to live without. So I guess my message is, all right, ladies, we've done this before. We can do this again.
That's right.
Okay. So what about, let's go kind of the other way, because I have spoken with people who for a long time used their bodies or used exercise to manage the body, right? And then maybe they're feeling more at peace with their food now and feeling more secure, but they're kind of gun shy to get back into exercising because it's like, I have either had exercise addiction in the past, or I'm not content with doing just a 20-minute workout like what you were talking about. Like, Kasey, no, if I'm going to work out, I need to have that full 60 minutes or whatever it is. Or, we'll feel like we'll fall back into the over exercising. So I'm wondering if you might be able to give some guidance in those situations.
Yeah, I think that can be a tricky subject, but to give some just kind of blanket questions to ask yourself is, where is that fear coming from? Especially if, okay, does 20 minutes count or not? Okay, who said that 20 minutes or 60 minutes counts? If we are Christians, we are following the Lord and the Word, and there's nowhere in the Bible that it says
right.
a certain amount of exercise. So that is some kind of rule that may have served you in the past. Is that serving you now? So is it truthful? Is it beneficial? Is to be able to ask yourself to start to challenge those assumptions that you may have around exercise and to break it open, because exercise is really just this tiny little box under the umbrella of movement. And so if we can break that open, then the possibilities are so much more joyful. And for the person who is worried about exercise maybe taking over their life, to be able to maybe put it back into that box, to be able to have a container is maybe what some psychologists would say. And you can have a container for exercise. As a personal trainer, we would say you, as a body, to be able to take care of your bones and to take care of your muscles, you need resistance training twice a week. And so on non-consecutive days, you can allow your body to rest. So what are those 2 days that you're going to choose? And you do it for that amount of time. You don't think about it anymore. Yeah. And so that frees up your mind and some of your mental space to think, oh, I need to get in a workout, or I haven't done it. And so being able to put that habit into a space and to a contained space in your life allows it from becoming that idol that has power over you. Because as we know, I think if something is an idol too, then we can give it more power than it has. Because, I've been reading through Isaiah, and the prophets really talk about the people of biblical times. They would make idols out of wood and stone, and they would say, these are handmade things. They can't speak. They can't hear. They can't love you back. They really have no power except for the power that you give them. And so I had to recognize that in myself too, of oh, if I'm fearing food, I'm making it an idol, but it's actually a gift. And so, but we can't get to that place until the Lord opens our eyes in that way. So yeah, if we can go back to the questions of being able to challenge those assumptions, is this true? Is this helpful? Then I think that those can really help to guide our decisions around exercise, whether it's becoming too much. Okay, let's figure out what we actually need. And, of course, it depends on what your health team and is recommending, that, you really need health providers that you trust. And so if you're in a space of healing from an eating disorder, exercise is going to look very different. It's going to definitely be movement, but it'll be different. I mean, we're already moving. Our heart and our lungs are already moving. And so, even opening and closing your eyes, that's movement. Breathing, that is movement. So breathing, stretching, just being able to redefine what movement is and for how it's helpful, how it's beneficial for you in your season. I think that's going to help it be specific for your needs.
Yeah. There's some really good things that you said there. And one of the things that got my mind kind of spinning is I've shared with my community that in the last several months, I've kind of personally had this struggle with my body has changed significantly in perimenopause. And I've had to remind myself that like my worth is not in my body size, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not like, this does not change who I am. It's just that it's different. And the connection point that I made when you were talking is also for those who struggle with only working out 20 or 10 or 5 minutes. Our worth is not in how long we work out. Our worth is already defined by us. And then we move because it fulfills greater goals than what we have. Maybe it's protecting those knees as we get older, or being able to lift up our grandkids, or, other reasons why, rather than just to exercise because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I love that you talked about health professionals. I feel like this is a good opportunity too, that like, if you are looking for something of like, I just need to move and I don't want to have to think about it. Like maybe if you need to turn your brain off, if it's accessible to you, find a personal trainer to help you with that, because there's something really freeing about showing up. And I know you know this, Kasey, but just for my community, like do that. And spoiler alert, and I may take this out when I edit it, but be on the lookout for someone from yours truly here in a few months. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, for whatever that is worth. Okay. So we're talking about, going from one end to the other end. You mentioned strength training, and I'm a big proponent of it, especially in menopausal, perimenopausal and beyond women. It's just so good for our bone density. It counteracts sarcopenia, which is when we naturally lose muscle. It can help with our balance. We don't want to fall because we don't want to break our hip. There's some compelling evidence lately that it improves longevity. So what about with strength training? Like for someone who has a rocky relationship with strength training, where do you recommend people start? Because I'm sure you get questions like this all the time, Kasey, as a health professional, as a personal trainer. And then, just from more of the personal trainer side, or when we're talking with people, sometimes an encouragement to strength train is needed, but we also don't want to be triggering. And we also don't want to send someone down a bad path. So I'm wondering how we can approach this from this joyful movement perspective, while at the same time doing the things that really are helpful and beneficial to our body, like strength training. I may not know you personally, but this is what I do believe about you. You care about your health, you care about your faith, and you are trying to find places, safe places, to put those together. I am thrilled to be a part of the new app called The Stronger Collective. It blends faith and fitness seamlessly. It has scripture-filled workouts, supportive coaching, and community engagement, and has recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. We have 10 health professionals here to guide you in your holistic health in all kinds of different areas. And yes, I get to focus on the women over 40. So excited for that. Check out The Stronger Collective to level up your health journey. Link is in the show notes.
For sure. And I think if someone is interested or is contemplating strength training, then honor that desire, and to say, okay, this is a good thing. I'm recognizing that I want to take care of the body that God has given me. I want to feel strong because, if the joy of the Lord is our strength, it's really cool how you talk about the benefits of exercise. And when we do something like a squat and we feel the strength in our legs, our brain is saying, I'm doing this, I feel strong, and it's connected to our identity. And so we start thinking, I am strong. And so it improves, another big fancy word, rejection resilience, so that we can feel like, okay, I can do things. And so it increases that confidence. And if we're supposed to be the light of the world, we want to be confident to show up and not to shrink back from, our own whatever condemning thoughts that we may harbor. And strength training is one way to just combat some of those thoughts and to step into the joy of the Lord as our strength. So yes. So being the light of the world, we are also a body of Christ, and we're connected. We're all members of one another in the Lord. And so he has gifted us, and he has given some of us a really good desire to help one another with those strength exercises. So like Amy and myself, I love being able to show people how to do a squat and how to form their body well so that when they load it heavier, they will be protecting their knees and their whole body is in a position to carry that load in a safe way. So then they can go into the world and not injure themselves and that they can be equipped to do all that God has called them to do and feel confident to be able to do that. So if you're not sure how to start, yes, find a professional that you trust. And so they can get you started and can look at your form, and so that you can go forward with that mastery. So I think, and part of a habit is being able to have autonomy, being able to do it by yourself. And if you're not sure, you can ask someone. And then mastery is being able to add on to that and be able to progress. And there's a lot of joy that comes with doing that and being connected to creation. God made us to be in creation. He looked at Adam and Eve and all that he had made, Adam and Eve in creation, and said, it is very good. So it's just not just us that's very good. It's us in creation, and movement is one way to interact with his creation and to know him better. So hire someone you trust. Start small. Just really start to question those thoughts of, should it be X number of minutes or whatever it might be? I'm sure Amy, you and I can probably give I love being able to give motor patterns for a full strength training routine of okay, we are made to squat, hinge, push, pull, carry. I want all of those movements to be in there to take care of those big functional patterns rather than just isolating small muscle groups for looks, for example. So definitely more about function, and it always goes back to your goals. And if you want to break away from those external appearance goals, then just ask yourself, how do I feel? How do I want to feel? What exercise can lead me to that?
I am applauding so much on the functional movement. That's actually how I plan every single one of my training clients, and then how I'm planning the program that I'm doing too, because I call biceps beach muscles. They're good to, they're nice to have, but they will get stronger if you are doing the other things that the pushing and the pulling, they will get stronger. They will get stronger with body weight supported stuff. And so I cannot agree more. And honestly, I don't have time to be working on my biceps all the time. I don't have time for that. And probably most of the people don't either. So let's do those basic functional movements. And by the way, if you are interested in that, I do have a YouTube video where I demonstrate some of those. And I also talk about them in both of my books, Your Core Strength and for teen girls, and also in Your Worthy Body. So if you want a little more information on those, there's some books, and then you can also check out the YouTube video. Sorry for the shameless plug, but every now and then I'm I should probably mention that. Okay, Kasey, anything else on joyful movement that we have not covered that you want to make sure that we cover?
Yeah, I think even this podcast, if you're listening and you're thinking, I still feel overwhelmed. Just if you can just cut out the noise and be able to tune in to your body, tune into the Lord, that is what you need. You're probably listening to this podcast too because you trust Amy and you trust her voice and to be able to guide you with health. And so I would say, being able to, like, while you're moving, if something is painful, if something doesn't feel right, trust that as well. And as you do, then you're going to build trust in your body, and that's going to become more joyful because it's a relationship. It's a relationship with your body. It's a relationship with the Lord. And that is ultimately where we find the joy, is in that connection piece. And so if you hear nothing else, then just get started, tune into how you feel, and pursue the Lord as your joy.
That is very good. You probably jumped the gun a little bit with my final question, but I'll ask it anyway here in a second. Okay, Kasey, I would love for you to share where people connect with you. Your newsletters are great. And one of the things that I love about it is you connect our breath with scripture. And so if you're listening and, we have talked a lot about our breath. We have talked a lot on this show about pulling things down. Kasey is a wonderful guide for that. So you can sign up. She'll tell you here in a second on how to either get these 5 videos or just the newsletters. But you guys, this is worth the email sharing. I know we hold on to our emails very tightly. Kasey's is worth it. So be sure to get that. So I had to do that little plug, and I know you didn't know that I was going to do that, but it's a really great email. And I love the inhale and whatever guidance you have, and exhale. Mm-hmm. So well done with that, Kasey.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I would say simply just to go to joyfulhealth.co. We have the form where you can put in your name and your email for that newsletter. And so what she's talking about is I've been sending out non-diet devotionals. And yes, I always want to be able to connect the breath with the body. It allows us to take a mindful moment with the Lord, because sometimes that just connecting with his presence, we may only need an inhale and an exhale. And that can remind us that we can come back and do that again whenever we want throughout the day. We will always be breathing. So that is a weekly devotional that I send out. If you want more, there is a daily option.
Perfect. All right. Yes. And I will put that in the show notes for sure. Okay, Kasey, what is the one simple thing that you would like everybody to remember about this? You kind of talked about it a little already, but I'll give you the chance to either repeat it or say something different, and you get to have the final word on the show.
Great. Well, I would like to circle back around to that joy is the expression of grace. So if you want to adopt a joyful movement habit, to be able to just inhale grace and exhale joy, let that tune into your breath, be able to tune into your body and the Lord, and just continue that movement. Spread your arms out and stretch out your body and just start to tune in. How does this feel? And name it. Say, it makes me feel happy, or it makes me feel open, or having some word associated with that helps to reinforce that positive memory and that positive association with movement. And that can really help to build a healthy foundation for joyful movement.
So great. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day. Thanks for listening today. If this episode was valuable to you, could you do one of 2 things that are enormously valuable to me, but super simple for you? Number 1, just share this with a friend. Super simple. Number 2, provide a rating and review, particularly if you listen in Apple Podcasts. This is super valuable for me. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to my monthly journal, why not? I send it out twice a month, and it is a private, fun space for me to share some of my favorite foods and recipes, movements, books, sermons, and more. You never know what you're going to get, but I promise it will add value to your day. You can sign up at gracedhealth.com/monthly-updates. And of course, the link is in the show notes. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.